Welcome to Your Business in Digital. We are so excited that you decided to join us this Wednesday. It is going to be an amazing, amazing show. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Let's kick over to the intro. Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Your Business in Digital, where we work with businesses to help them translate and bridge that gap between finance, sales, marketing, and operations. We love doing this show. It is so awesome. Today, we're super excited because we have an amazing guest. Can't wait for that. But of course, we need to do a quick recap of the last show. So let's jump into that quick recap. What did we talk about in the last show? So we talked a little bit about we talked a little bit about SEO, and for small businesses, what are some of the questions they should be asking? If you're looking to hire someone to do SEO, there's some things you have some responsibility to know certain things, right? So you want to know what is SEO and why do you need it as a small business? You want to know how important it is for your small business. You also want to understand the most important aspects of SEO. You're not implementing it yourself, but you need to have some general idea about it. You also want to understand how do you effectively measure the success of it, right? Because the metrics are going to look a little bit different. You're probably accustomed to looking at dollars in the bank. So you want to understand how to measure the effectiveness of SEO. You also want to know some of the mistakes, right? What are some of the common mistakes that are made so that if your SEO agency is working for you, that they're not making those mistakes and you can identify it and make sure that you're not spending money the wrong way, right? And also you want to understand how much does it cost. SEO is not cheap. You have to pay for it, but it is an investment in your business and it serves you so much further down the road. So super important that you understand the cost of that. And then you also want to understand how can you gain a competitive advantage over your competition, right? This is a place that you show up, they show up online. So it's a great way for you to understand, hey, you know what? How can I beat my competition compared to the competition, whatever it is? So I'm going to bring the team back to kind of throw in some ideas. What did you think about the conversation on Monday with this? It was interesting, right, guys?
It was awesome. I thought it was awesome because it gets into we nerded out a little bit, through you on on Monday because we kind of felt your energy and rolled with it, frankly, because it was early on Monday morning for me. But what I really enjoyed about it is that I was able to personalize it from a sales perspective and understand what is SEO going to do to move that sale forward. How do we get our personalities out there? Because that's part of it and very difficult in a virtual environment when they can't see our face. But through our words, how do they get to know, like, and trust us and move them to that right place fast? And that's why it resonated for me so quickly because it was the sales strategy that's involved in finding that SEO strategy. And I'm all about making that money. So that investment to me is a non-starter. We can move it forward because we can make that money.
Absolutely.
I love the conversation. I think it was a very practical conversation because it's things that we business owners may not have considered. They know they have to do these things with their website, but they're not actually sure where to start. And I think it was really great that we broke it down like that and say, here are the things that you need to be very practical about and think about when trying to implement SEO. Yes, it is something very technical and you might need an expert, but that doesn't mean that you are going to lack the basic understanding about it. So I love that part of the conversation because even for myself as a business owner, it was things that I could take away as well and implement.
Love that.
I was just going to say, Tamara, you brought it on Monday. You brought it on Monday. So, I'm glad that we are efforting to get that business owner perspective, answer these questions that are typical questions that we've done the research, we've looked at it and said, okay, this is what a lot of business owners are asking themselves around their website. How do they get their website, to perform better, literally to perform better, meaning you drive more sales, right? Drive more customers. So great way to start the week. And I'm glad that we're continuing today with it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of housekeeping. So, guys, we want you guys to connect with us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn. Actually, we have an amazing newsletter, and Michelle just sent the newsletter out yesterday. So, connect with us on LinkedIn at Your Business in Digital, and check out our newsletter. It goes over the conversation that we had. So, sometimes if you don't want to check out the video, you can read it, get the points. Check us out on Spotify and Apple. We're really trying to grow. We're trying to grow our viewership there. So, definitely check us out in those places. Subscribe, go to YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever platform you prefer. We're there. Definitely check us out. All right. All right. So, Michelle, kudos to you. I saw that newsletter. I was just like, girl.
I pay attention. I listen. We have more to say. So
Right, absolutely. And what's interesting about this, right?
Mhm.
As we talk about marketing and marketing in motion, this is what we're doing. Everything we're talking about, we're actually doing for this brand. So we started a newsletter on LinkedIn where we get to take the conversation a little bit further, right? Letting people know, here are the tips. Here's where you can find these great tips that we're providing to you on LinkedIn in that newsletter. Of course, we're going to move it to a blog. We're going to make sure that we distribute this content in the best possible way. So if you're thinking about your business, how are you distributing your content across different platforms to find that target audience, right? It's great to create the content, but you got to make sure people see the content, right?
And if you follow us, you'll receive that in email as well.
Yes. Follow us, and don't forget to take the quiz, right? So we'll talk about that later on. So, all right. So we are so excited. I'm excited about this next conversation. So we are talking about our hot topics. Hot topics, hot topics, hot topics. I love the hot topics. Why do I love the hot topics? Because it's just what's happening in the news. We see people talking about it. There's so many comments going on about it. And I love when we give that perspective. Of course, we have strong opinions, all of us, but I love when we give that perspective also that's really for the business owner, right? How do you move yourself away from it, what you think and feel, and how do you put that business hat on, and what's the right decision to make there? So this one I'm really excited to talk about. So, Mike, I'm going to kind of bring you to the forefront so we can chat about this a little bit, because this is about the AI. And I don't know if you heard, but Levi to test AI models to expand the brand's online diversity. So last Wednesday, Levi, informed the world that they will begin to use models generated by artificial intelligence on their e-commerce platforms. They really want to leverage this in order to expand its diversity and improve customer service online. The plan is to use AI models to supplement with human models, and AI models are meant to create that more, again, diverse feel. But they plan to continue, as they say, to look for human models of the right age, body, size, type, of all kinds. So, Mike, what are your thoughts around this, right? Levi has decided to go this way with AI models. I know we talked a little bit about AI, but when I saw this, I saw all the feedback, and people were pissed. People were pissed off.
So let's start off by saying that from a just from a company perspective, a business perspective, I am sure Levi did a ton of research. I'm sure they were trying to be as careful as they could with going forward with this.
Yeah.
Now, we spoke last week about AI when it comes to chatbots, right? And conversation, and that's a very different thing than portraying people, right? So it's interesting that they're taking it. It's interesting that they are very clearly stating that this is about testing. This is about testing. And this is about learning, quote unquote, more about your customer base and what will appeal to them. What they're inferring here is that, they will use it to test and learn, and then, bring in real people. But of course, it's why can't you start with real people is the question. So this has poked, this will definitely become one of those marketing cases, as we are on the dawn of the AI generation now. But I think that it's a bit smart. It's hard to work with people are wild cards, right? As I said, I am sure they had a number of meetings about it, what to do about it. And now they're saying to the public, listen, we are trying to be more diverse, but not really diverse. What are your thoughts, Tamara?
Oh, my thoughts are, sometimes I wonder when these meetings are happening, like how are they, who's owning the conversation? Where are they owning the conversations? When they put these press releases out, have they considered the other side of the coin? And sometimes I feel like they miss the mark with that, right? Because, we've talked about diversity, equity, inclusion before, and how do you really move that forward in your business? And it seems like a little bit of a slap in the face, right? I can see the slap in the face, but I also understand the technology, right? And so if you're testing, test, see what happens, but you have to do, it's a balancing act. You have to kind of give the people what they want because the people buy from you, but you have to move on with the technology. So it's that balancing act. And I think these brands, they miss the balance a lot of times, right? They miss that balance. So I am definitely, I don't have a horse in the race. You know what I mean? I may have like a pair of Levi jeans. So, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I was a Levi's person, like 501s,
Yeah,
only 501s. But let's look at it from, both marketing and operational, just that cost factor. Is it probably going to be really expensive to generate these AI models? Probably, but weigh that against the cost, which may have gone into their, I'm just saying, may have gone into their decision making. Where if I wanted to really portray diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'd have to get a certain number of models across a range. Then I would have to put them in front of my customer base, see how they react. So AI is actually giving me a way, technically, to try more different types faster in a shorter period of time. And then I can have my casting calls and say, I'm looking exactly for this, 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 this. So there is a little benefit, from the business perspective anyway, of looking at that cost benefit and how you're going to enhance your market to be more inclusive. So that's why I thought that, maybe that's where they're coming from. I'm playing defense here this morning.
I mean, yeah, and you could do that, I mean, and for me though, right? So I just want to show, I think this is a brand. What brand is this? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
So what brand is this? This brand here is Savage Fenty, and I want to just kind of go through the models. I want to kind of go through brands. This is a little racy this morning, but I just want to go through the process and show you the range of diversity, equity, and inclusion and real people. So, my thing to Levi is that it's actually already being done, right?
Being done, correct.
You know what I mean? So I think that's all well and good, but if we have brands like that are doing that, and shout out to Riri, because we know we love a little bit of Riri.
And I would just, qualify that a bit because, of course, Levi is where they're coming from. So they're coming from that one model, one representative model for their brand, right? So as opposed to Fenty, which has built around diversity, it's been built around a core of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So it's a marketing attempt to, I think the intent is pure. Let's say, they want to reach their customer base a little more.
The intent is capitalism, my friend. The intent is a capitalism.
That's a pure intent, right? That's very pure. It's as pure as it gets. So they are trying to transition. So they're using AI to transition a marketing platform where they're leaving that one model. And therefore they, I guess they went forward and said, okay, what's a good way to even understand who is going to, who we're going to use for our models and so on. So we'll see how it plays off. But my bet is this is going to be a marketing case for business studies to come for a while.
Andrew, I see you laughing. What are you thinking?
Listen, I am with you, Tamara. I just don't understand why they had to resort to AI. It's being done. Are you saying that you couldn't find the models that's out there? True inclusion and diversity is not just about the visual. It's about creating the opportunity for the real person to be seen. They could get hired again afterwards. I mean, I'm not feeling the whole there's attempts to be that to diversify. I feel like you said, it's being done so many times that it's not new. So to try to say that you're using technology at first because I cannot, in an attempt to say you're not sure. No, it's being done enough times. The model is already there for you to go out there and get these people, get these real people for you to actually include. I feel like it's a half attempt for me.
Mm.
I know based wasn't the word you wanted to use, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Good catch, Andrea. Good catch.
Now, Miss Monlouis, I just want to say I'm putting my shades on. All the shade that you just threw when you put the Savage Fenty on the screen a moment ago, my lady, because that's what it was. And to go back to something that Andrew was saying, let me get serious again, because we're a serious group of people here. With the article, what they didn't say initially, that a couple of articles did say, they spoke about the cost savings and what was perceived as their view of what was going on, because in the last, I think, 2-3 years, they've cut about 1,500 employees with Levi's. So they're trying to get out there, trying to do something different while still maintaining that line, that budget line that's needed in order to move that business forward. So that PR slant might not have been so wise. They're getting a lot of backlash on it, but we'll see in the long run if this dies down and people lean into what they're trying to do and dismiss what's going on there. But that's kind of rough. There's a lot of companies out there that are way ahead of them on the game. And is it because they're reaching for, like you said, a different demographic that they did not previously lean into, that was not purchasing Levi's with the numerous amount of blue jeans that are out there now? Are they way behind in their market share? And this is their way of trying to not get in front of it because they're really way behind at this point, but to find a way to get more market share and test the waters in a way that is cost effective for their business. Because that's what this is. This is a bottom line, cost effective measure.
And
that's exactly it. That's their attempt to still try to look good while still maintaining the bottom line.
Right.
But sometimes, it's a complete backlash with that one.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested as the conversation moves along, because I will also want to understand how they're dealing with the backlash, right? How are they dealing with the responses, what people are saying? Are they going to lose some business? Are they going to gain some business? What's going to happen? So I think definitely something for us to follow along. But this AI conversation keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. We did it. I mean, when I saw this, I was just like, yeah, we have to bring back that AI conversation again, because I think it's going to keep getting hotter.
It's funny. I'm going back to something we did last season, Michael. I can't remember what episode this was, but when we talked about AR, the augmented reality, where that's the way a lot of companies allowed their business to diversify or to personalize it, to bring in a different demographic, because you get to try the clothes on, the earrings, the makeup on, eyeglasses. Warby Parker, hello, on you, so that I'm curious and want to do a bit more digging. Why not that route versus this one that seems so volatile and provocative that it maybe that was the point too, to be provocative, to gain the attention. And hopefully they're not taking the stance of all press is good press, because in this instance it is. This one's
well, we have to remember the research side of AI, right? So if I am trying to find out very quickly, what does my target audience look like? What works best? Then from that perspective, and maybe if they had come and said, from that perspective, as I said, to inform their casting calls and said, hey, we're going to be using AI to inform our casting calls now, because AI is going to literally, kind of scrub through our customer base, give us, representations of what the customer base wants, and then we can go out and find them. Maybe different conversation, right? Different, maybe. So AI has that research side of it, which they're leaning on. But as you said, we'll see. We're trying to be on the fence.
I feel like Levi should hire you, because you're doing a really good job of
listen,
if you haven't heard any ideas of what you could do. for Wilshire.
You know, and here's your quiz.
Go, Michael.
Which are you in my Levi's? And then we bring back in ER. Like we could map it out and do a marketing plan for them. Levi, come on, just join the show and let's work it out for you.
Hey, Levi's, at Michael at MonavandDigital.com.
Oh my God. All right. This is a great conversation, guys. But you know what? It's about that time for us to take it beyond the likes. And I am super, 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 super excited about the conversation we're going to have today because we have our first guest. This guest is amazing. This is Mr. Eric M. Davis. Eric is a seasoned digital marketing expert, a really, really, really good friend of mine. His experience in SEO, content, social media content creation. This guy is sick when it comes to SEO. Okay. You can read the bio, but I'm going to tell you, he is the person that we call when we have an SEO question. He's the person that I call when I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about this strategy. And then he just like takes it to a whole other level of crazy SEO. He makes SEO fun. So super excited to have Eric come to the stage today. Eric, wait a minute.
Hey.
Bio.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome, Eric. How are you? I'm going to actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give a little bit of screen time to Mr. Eric. So I'm going to bring you guys back. It's going to be fun. Don't worry. Hey, Eric, how are you? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm thrilled, even though it's 4 a.m. here on the West Coast.
Our first guest is here, 4 a.m. Michelle does it all the time, but you know how hard it is. And definitely we're super excited to have you. So Eric, talk to us a little bit about SEO and the importance of SEO for small businesses, and just tell people a little bit about yourself and background, and then we'll jump into your top 7.
Of course. So I think, as you already said, I have extensive experience in SEO. My claim to fame in SEO was early in my career when I beat out Disney for the term Disney tickets. I actually ranked number 1 for that. This is way back when. And I fell in love with SEO ever since that early victory. And so since then, I've worked with a lot of clients, big and small, worked with a lot of law firms, hotel chains, small hoteliers, governments, so really doing a lot of really fun, neat stuff. But I'm super passionate about it, mainly because SEO, winning at SEO, especially as it's evolved over the years, has turned from a game that was full of a lot of cloak and daggers, a lot of kind of shady people, to an industry where it's really hard to fake, and where if you're genuinely good at your job, it's like a true meritocracy, where if you're genuinely good at your job, you rise to the top. And that's one of the things I really love about it is the people who are largely the best succeed. And so I think that's what I genuinely love about it. But the problem is that there still are a lot of shady people out there. And I would say my specialty is getting called in to rescue businesses after they've hired someone shady and they need things to be made right. And so a lot of my top 7 actually revolves around how can I help a small business? How can I help you as a small business owner avoid working with that shady person in the very beginning, so that you can actually not have to call on someone much more expensive like myself to fix everything. Because it's one of those things that I think just a little bit of extra conversations in the beginning of your relationship with any SEO or any sort of marketing agency can really help you weed out and understand the real person from the faker. So
I love that. So today's conversation is 7 secrets revealed. Discover the truth about SEO success.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing Eric Davis. I'm like, Eric Davis.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring the team back because I know they are like all super excited to get a little piece of the action with Eric. So guys, welcome Eric to the stage.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Eric.
Brother. Welcome.
I'm not an AI avatar yet, so.
What did you think about the AI conversation with?
I think it's very fake. Like I don't know. Like I think that if you, I think that if you believe in diversity, you hire. Like tomorrow, you and I, like way back in the day, you and I were the only token people on a corporate team. You as the person of color, myself as as the token gay person, and like having been in those scenarios, like, but we were valued and we were truly, we found out that we were actually the best performing, like, but in the end, like, but that was a company living its vision and giving two people a genuine like chance to be heard and be part of a large corporate experience in that sense. And so I believe that you got to walk the walk, and an AI avatar is not that.
Ain't that the truth? All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for your thoughts on that. So we're going to jump in because we want to really have this interesting conversation and get these secrets from you. So let's jump into your first point, right?
Yeah.
So point number one, can you provide case studies or references for your clients? So
Yes. So
yeah.
this is one of those things that is, everyone likes to talk about themselves. I love to talk about myself. And I love to share success stories. And any good SEO agency you are talking to will love to share their success stories. I have hundreds of them I can talk to you about. Especially different verticals: travel, tourism, real estate, music labels, law firms. I've done so many different things throughout my career. I can tell you all the good, the bad, the ugly in that sense. I can tell you why campaigns were successful. I can tell you why they were failures, but I can talk to you about case studies. And that doesn't necessarily mean that whoever you're talking to needs to have like specific white papers. But when you talk to them about like, one thing I like to ask, especially when I'm hiring talent, for instance, I always like to ask, tell me about the campaign you're most proud of. And then tell me about a campaign that failed. And then why did it fail? And then what did you learn from that? And when you're having these extra conversations, especially when you're kind of in the discovery process with an agency, you can learn a lot about them, and again, like, failure isn't always a bad thing, especially if you learn something from it and you learn that there was, like maybe, for instance, like there were extenuating circumstances, that led to a campaign not performing the way it performed. But it's good to be able to work with people who are honest about the things that go right and the things that go wrong.
Oh, I love that point.
But Tamara, you and I know that you discover a lot and you learn who's real and who's not real quick, especially when you talk about case studies.
Right.
You know.
100%, because the thing with SEO and with digital in general is because of sometimes the lack of education and knowledge, it's easy to get got, right? Because you think, hey, this one thing, you understand it, but it's so convoluted and each part of digital has its own thing. And SEO, there's so many layers to it. So people can say, hey, I keyword stuff you all day and you get to rank number one. That happens for like a day until Google's like, okay,
exactly.
That's not going to be the thing. So I think it's a really, really smart way to approach the conversation. Michelle, do you want to jump in there and talk about case studies? Because I know you love a good case study.
The numbers person in me just loves a good case study and a good story that goes behind it. And how do you approach someone? And this is a real question that we encountered in our past, and that the person seemed to be so really smart at SEO and had a lot in their arsenal like you. I mean, well, first off, let me go back and just give you kudos for the mic drop that you gave early on about the Disney thing. I mean, seriously.
It's like, just that little Disney.
You're talking like that as if, you're talking about the sunny weather outside or something.
Well,
so kudos to you on that.
But in all fairness, back in the day, you could do a lot of things in SEO you can't do today.
So I think I say this all the time. Eric's been to the dark side of SEO. He's over on the side of good SEO.
I am the side of long-term dividends.
It is. But how do you, with somebody like you that has a wealth of experience and so many case studies that you have at hand, how do you, when somebody's asking for a case study, choose, out of your very heavy box of things, the right ones to present to a client that's going to resonate?
Well, I think it comes down to understanding the goals and having that goals conversation. We'll talk a little bit more about that in regards to SEO. But so for instance, like if you come to me as a hotel I'm going to give you all my hotel case studies in that sense, or stuff that is very transactional focused. If you are B2B and you're kind of lead generation in that sense, I'm going to give you either B2B or more consultative SEO experience in that sense. So even consultative can be like, okay, well, this is the context and text that I've ranked for. These are the articles I've ranked. And so it's understanding exactly, again, this is where you as a small business owner, you need to understand your funnel. And Tamara, you and I have talked about this before in the past. I know you've talked about this with your audience, is understanding your funnel. What are you asking people to do to visit your website? Is it a purchase? Is it a booking? Is it a consultation? What is the goal? Because your SEO strategy has to match that goal. And so again, like if your SEO is for a hotel booking, or even a good or a good or a product, an e-commerce product, that's a very different strategy than a B2B lead generation in that sense. And so making sure that SEO strategy and even the case studies match your goals.
Right. So if I were, and this is one of the things that I had encountered before with one of my clients. They were just trying to get their website started, and another one that was revamping. And one, Tamara, let's use one of hers. I mean, with the jewelry business, and another one that was selling, body butters, and trying to find the right fit for them, and saying, you should get case studies, but helping them to understand what type of thing to look for that might not align directly with their business, but with something that was similar to a look and feel of what they were selling, to gain some idea, because we knew there was not going to be a one-for-one kind of match, but someone that understood a business model. Correct. And what their sales strategy needed to be was something that we tried to look for. And I felt that maybe that was the right way to go, but it was a hard task to get them to understand an SEO, non-sexy, conversation and the need for it, and then say, you really need to pay attention to this, because this is not only a money investment, but it's going to be the key to getting anything that we're doing for our sales strategy out to the general public. If we don't get this right, then this is wasted money.
Correct. I when you're looking at like an e-commerce business and you're thinking about your SEO strategy, I look at it as it's as important as selecting the real estate for a building you're leasing. So if you think about like building like leasing like a storefront, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to spend like $60,000, $200,000 over the next 5 years leasing a storefront in like Poca, Pennsylvania. That might not be as effective as leasing a storefront in Philadelphia. And so, but again, if leasing Poca, Pennsylvania makes sense, if you're looking for, maybe you're doing antiques, or I don't know, whatever. I'm using a crazy example right now, but the idea is you have to pay attention to, again, what your goals are, and you have to be as serious about your SEO strategy as you are the physical location of your business if you were a storefront. So
that's a perfect analogy. That is perfect example. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. So moving on to your point number 2.
Yeah. So what's your approach to SEO, and how do you stay up to date on industry changes? So this is one. So I kind of organize these questions in a way in which to kind of get comfortable with someone, kind of think of it like almost like speed dating in a sense, if you're really going through, or like you're doing like Love is Blind in a sense.
Love is Blind. The fact that he even brought that up is awesome. I think he's frozen a little bit. But everyone's been watching Love is Blind. So I think he's talking about what is your approach to SEO and how do you stay up to date with the industry's trends, right? And staying up to date with industry trends, for me is definitely one of those things, talking to experts, watching shows like this, listening to podcasts, really dialing into a lot of those, where are the experts, right? And what are some of the Google searches that I'm getting, or some of the Google alerts that I'm getting, to keep me engaged with the conversation. Now, as a small business owner, again, you don't need to know everything about it, but you need to understand where the trend's going. One of the trends, we actually just had a conversation with Eric the other day, and one of the trends he was talking about was really around not just search engines, but how do we become answer engines? And so in the future, right, and just like we started the show talking about the questions a lot, that's how you move to a place of really becoming an answer engine, because you start really identifying the questions people are asking, because even their behavior for search has shifted. So I think that's what he was going to say. If I had to substitute for Eric, that is what I think he would be saying. So I'm sure he will come right back to the stage. You know what? This happens while we're doing stuff. So Andrea, I saw your face open up when he started to talk, because he said some things that definitely made you feel like you're like, what? The real estate. What are your thoughts so far?
No, absolutely. What he said was totally relatable in terms of how you need to think about it. Again, because SEO is so technical, and just the fact that it's an acronym, anything hard and technical has an acronym, right? And I think business owners, from the time they hear that, they go, "Oh, what is that?" But I liked how he was very practical and saying, "Well, think about it, how you would have picked your storefront, and if you apply that thought process to how you select websites and develop your website, you'll realize that you already have the thought process built in. You already can understand SEO if you're apply." So I really did like that analogy. Again, I think that I could take away for myself.
Perfect. Eric, welcome back. I did a little bit of a I jumped in there, so I don't know if it was what you were going to say, but go into talk about that approach and stay.
Yes. So again, like you want what you're doing here is you want to actively listen to the person, understand what their approach is. Now, I'll tell you what the answer is. The answer is always goal focused, and also it should focus on what we call EAT, which is experience, authority, and trust, and designed for the user first. So again, my goal is to get the user on the website to do something, to interact in a certain way. I want to speak authoritatively because I want to be the expert on the subject matter. If I'm building a website about marshmallows, I want to have the best content. I want to speak authoritatively. I want you to trust that I can make you the best marshmallows in the world. And then trust, again, how are they going to help instill trust that your marshmallows are the best, that you're going to get the marshmallows that you ordered, you're going to experience the best mouth. I have marshmallows on the mind. The best mouthfeel that marshmallows can provide, all that fun stuff. And so what you want to do is have someone who's focused on experience, authority, and trust when they're designing your campaign, that all aligns with the goals of what your business is trying to accomplish. And so that's the answer. All right. So then if we go on to number 3, all right, then how will you tailor your strategy to our specific business needs? And that kind of leads in exactly that. So understanding kind of, again, are they up to date? Cool. Are they following changes? Cool. That's kind of the easy thing. That's what you'll see with most people will talk about every algorithm change. But then when you go into how will they tailor your strategy, how does it align with your goals? And that's kind of what Michelle was talking about before, was, how does this align with your goals? Is this strategy the right strategy for my business? Do they actually understand how I get customers? And those are sometimes really good questions where you talk about, sometimes you can ask, like you would ask an agency or ask me, like, what do you think the most effective way is for me to get customers? And that's a great way of kind of putting it on the agency or the other person for them to be able to explain your business to them. And if they don't understand, a good person like me would ask, like, well, I've not worked with this vertical specifically before, so tell me, where do your best leads come from? And if they're asking back like a genuine question, that's always a good sign that they're being honest, and so that's where, tomorrow we've done a number of times where, like you've given me something and I've asked you back, like, well, where does their most effective lead come from, or where does their best business come from?
Right. Because SEO still focuses on finding those people in those spaces, right? It's not Correct. That we're saying, a lot of times people think that their digital strategy or their SEO strategy is very different from what they're doing offline, but it's really about taking what Correct. You're doing offline, understanding those details, and then working that back into your digital strategy. So it allows the person to, that's how you've honed into the target. That's how you understand, hey, they hang out in these types of spaces.
Yes, exactly.
Now reach out to those people and set up that right keyword strategy so they find you from those spaces. So I love that point. So, I mean, the goals are always important to us. So, Andrew, I'm going to kick it over back to you to talk a little bit about, I know this one, when you saw this slide, you were like, the goals.
Yeah, the goals. The goals direct everything, right? And in particular, goals direct, how you spend your money and stuff. So I particularly like that you have to be able to see how this SEO expert is going to respond to your goals to achieve the goals, of course, in the most cost effective way. Because I guess, how this thing goes, the longer you take and the more work it takes, is the more it's going to cost, right? So if you could see that this SEO expert is saying, hey, here's the most effective way to get, here's how I'm going to develop a strategy to achieve the goals that you set in the most effective way, then that gives you a sense of, okay, money is going to be well spent. That's the thought that comes to my mind. But definitely the goals is, you have to be driven by a goal first in order for anything to be effective, or else you will just end up wasting time, wasting effort, and most importantly, wasting money.
100%. 100%. And then, so 4, this is fun, because this is where I think you can weed out a lot of people. Is, what type of SEO services do you offer, and how do they complement each other? So a lot of times people get overwhelmed when you see SEO packages and services and stuff like that, and it looks like all these bells and whistles and all these things. But the reality is there actually a comprehensive strategy here? So how do these things complement each other? How do they work together? Everything in SEO should serve the purpose of the strategy's goals, and anyone should be able to articulate how each and every component of that supports that. So, for instance, there's different types of SEO. Again, there's conversion focused SEO, there's informational, there's consultative, there's local, there's all these different types of SEO that go on. And the reality is that each one has different things that are more important, and sometimes some activities aren't as important, and sometimes you can kind of dismiss. So it comes down to, what is the strategy and how does everything complement each other?
Go for it, Mike.
Yep. All right. I was just waiting to see if you were going to comment. But I really like this one, because this is something that I think a lot of businesses need to understand. Tamara, you and I recently looked up what was the latest in terms of costing, and what does SEO cost? And SEO, a lot of different subcategories in terms of work product fall under SEO. So you're talking things like technical audits, keyword research. So there are a lot of line items that any company can come to you and say, well, I do website design and I do content creation to SEO, or I do a different bundling. So I like that you're saying I should be asking, okay, given that this is your bag of tricks when it comes to SEO, how is that going to come together? Building on your question 3 to really achieve the goal and achieve the success. So I think it's important to understand that first level, that SEO is made up of a lot of different subcategories of work that you can be doing.
Yeah, and some of it can be busy work, and some of it, can look impressive but not result in anything.
Not have a result, exactly.
And so I think it's good to have these conversations, especially up front, to be like, oh, okay, you're going to be doing all this, cool. But what does that result in? How does this serve my goal and the strategy?
Well, let's just roll right on in. Why don't we? Yeah. You set the stage. Yeah. How will you measure?
Yes, I love this. So again, how do you measure success and report on progress? So what does reporting look like? What does success look like? And define that up front. So, a company I'm working with right now, success right now is e-commerce sales. It's a very binary thing. That's what they care about the most. That's what I need to deliver the most. So, they could care less about overall visits. They could care less about rankings. They just care about the binary end of funnel, and that's perfectly fine. But that's what's been agreed upon, and that's what's reported upon. And so, but it's defining that, and mind you, you should have those key indicators that success is coming. So SEO takes a long time. We all know that. So there should be indicators that, you should see rankings improve. You should see organic traffic improve. You should see site time on your website improve. You then should see sales improve. Now, mind you, in each and every one of those steps, if you have a competent SEO, they're going to be reporting on what I love to call closing the gaps in your funnel. So, if you look at a funnel and you look at where things are leaking, their reporting should be able to identify where the leaks in the funnel. So let's say, for instance, you're starting to rank well, but people aren't clicking. So you're seeing a low click-through rate. That means there's an issue with the optimization of how your website's being presented. Let's say people are clicking, but they're bouncing off the website. That means that there's an issue, potentially a technical issue with the site speed of your website, or even the initial content of your website. All right. Let's say they're spending a long time on your website and they're not purchasing. That means then that there is potentially an issue with the positioning, pricing, and packaging of your product in that sense. And so having a good SEO will be someone who will help you identify the leaks in your funnel as you kind of begin to look at what your end goal is and how you report on that.
Oh my goodness, I should praise dance right now because
Right. Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is like I love that you call it the leaks, right? And I always
Yeah.
like to say, solve for the problem in that moment, right? And it's that problem. And so many times we get caught up in the bells and whistles that we're solving for a problem that doesn't exist. And we miss that thing of, right, the click-through rate. If they're clicking through and something's not happening, then what's the issue there? What's that thing there? So it's always solving for the issue in the funnel is where you get to put the leaks.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it, Michelle.
Well, I'm geeking out today like you were on Monday. It's crazy. What I love about what you said that resonates so clearly with me on the sales and on the pricing side are a couple of things. One, you're speaking and you communicate in a way that is simple and easy for a layperson to understand and relate to and connect the dots. And it can seem so daunting that SEO search engine, nobody knows what that is. But when you start talking about this is your storefront, this is the way we're going to bring people in. And what I love about what you're bringing to the reality, because we are a show me now, give me my money now, what have you done for me lately, Janet Jackson kind of moment that we go through, right? And what you're saying is, I know you want this. I know that this is your end goal monetarily, but here are points that are pulse checks that are not exactly going to be money all of the time. However, this is going to point us and say, this is we're going in the right direction. It's our GPS. And if we're going off track, these indicators are going to come up to say, yeah, we may need to detour for this reason. And you're talking about how we can approach that detour to bring us back on track or to plug that hole, as you're saying, so that money still flows down as much as possible to the bottom, and a lot of it to bring it in the door as well. So I found that really comforting, because there are so many other points of measurement that are equally as important as that money coming in, because if we're not hitting those landmarks, there's no way that right customer is going to come in the door. And we spoke about that on Monday, about not just getting a lot of people, but getting the right people. And those are indicators that we're seeking as well, because that could lead to a huge abandonment or very short time on site if we don't attract the right people as well. So there's a multitude of things that we have to look at. And as the end user and as the person that's looking for results, I think it's key of what you said, setting a realistic expectation and laying the appropriate groundwork and expectation and the longevity that it may take to get to the promised land, to get to that point that we really need, I am geeking out over this today, Tamara. I'm just...
No, 100%. I think it's the other thing that comes to me is that what are the metrics that the small business owner needs to learn? Right.
Yes, 100%.
So some new metrics that they have to learn and understand and wrap their minds around. And as we like to say, plug. We always got to go beyond the line.
Yes, 100%.
May I also say, Tim, one of the things. I apologize. One of the things that I think, and I hope that this is somewhere in the track that you and I talk about in Eric too, is that there's an opposite expectation on the other side, because I know, Eric, that there is a huge weight on your shoulders to perform.
100%.
And Tim, what you said is really key, is that there are some things that, as the person that's signing that contract with you, needs to understand that there's a level of expectation on the other side for there to be a solid relationship. There needs to be a knowledge level and acceptance and some clarity on what the real expectation is for their business. And that if they aren't clear, you can't be clear and understand what you need to do in your job, or any of us as we're working with them. And I often find that is something that we need to clear up and get them to, in order for us to get to that end goal that they have in mind, that revenue, the number of bodies, the follows, whatever they're looking for, make that judgment. Or do you encounter that often? And if so, how are you approaching that?
Yeah. So, for myself, I feel a massive weight, as far as performing, and I know that I not every one of my campaigns has been successful in my career, and so when something is not going right, obviously that's where, like I talked about, you want to identify the leaks and the gaps. And when you have an extreme discipline to that, and you really understand that, but a lot of that comes actually down to my next point, actually, Michelle, you kind of lead right into that, which is the fact is, how will we communicate and how often? Because that relationship with the client and between the agency and the client is key, and it is kind of everything in that sense of really understanding, again, from my perspective, when I'm providing a service, does the client understand the KPIs, the key performance indicators? Do they understand what, obviously in the end, it's their business. They understand if their business is successful or not. But, has the agency properly explained set expectations on how long something's going to take? And then again, what are the key indicators that the strategy is working? What are the key indicators that the strategy is not working and potentially needs to change? Because a key point of a really good, successful agency is one that's committed to the goal but not committed to their ideas. So if I'm committed, if you hire me and I'm committed to the goal of your business, like I'm committed to you to helping your product sell, and if my initial strategy is not working, then I need to be committed to owning up to that and communicating that, and also offering this is what we're going to change, because we are not seeing results like we expected. I had a client not fairly recently, where things were not going as expected as far as retail sales were concerned, and in the end, I thought it was their website. And I said, because there were a number of issues, technical issues with the website. And I said, you know what? I built a second website that was free of all those technical issues, just so I could prove. And in the end, it was the packaging and the pricing of their product that was the issue. And so, but the point is that, it really stunk that we weren't seeing the sales that we wanted. Things were successful as far as like key indicators in that sense, as far as rankings, as far as click-through rate, as far as time on site. But again, the conversions weren't there. So look, our targeting potentially was off. But the reality is that when we isolated all those issues and we were able to kind of funnel down, what we were able to identify was it was the pricing and the packaging of the product that was leading to a resistance of new customer conversion. So people weren't buying because it was too expensive. They didn't like how it looked.
Right.
But is able to have those conversations with the client every step of the way, so they understand where we are hitting every point, and we're going to isolate and find out the exact reason why we're not getting the number of new customers that we promised.
This is one of my favorite points, because we do this at Monovan Digital, right? One of the things I say to the team all the time is, if the customer is reaching out to us, there is a problem. We should be connecting with the customers.
100%.
Those monthly performance reviews. We should be doing those bi-weekly performance reviews. As a small business, you should be talking to your marketing agency. You should understand what's happening. And the thing about it is, you're absolutely right. It's scientific, right? So we may understand the initial strategy, but we have to looked at the numbers to really determine, okay, what is this story? What's the story that the numbers are telling? And sometimes it is calling some of the other marketing assets that this small business has built to say, hey, your baby's ugly, so we got we have to do this thing to get people to feel that way. And that's a hard conversation sometimes, right? Because sometimes I think it's easier to just kind of, put that Band-Aid on it. But with SEO, you cannot do that, because you have to, I want us to think about the person walking through the SEO process too, right? To your business. Think about yourself. I always say that as you search, you want to click, you want to put in those keywords, and you are waiting for the right experience to take you through buying. So your business has to provide that. So that communication expect communication, regular communication,
100%.
what it allows you to understand those terms and all that. So really, really awesome point. So we're going to move on to point number 7, which is pricing contract model. So go for it, Eric.
Yeah. So again, like is the pricing in line? And so when I have my agency, and when I always used to say that I like to make it super easy for people to leave, because I firmly believe that I provide the best service for the best price for what people are receiving. And what I've seen time and time again is if I make it easy for people to leave, and if someone's not happy with the service they're receiving, and I just I wish them best of luck in their future endeavors, and I truly wish them the best. I package everything up and send them off on their way. It's honestly most of the time they end up coming back. And so what you want to look for is an agency that believes in themselves that much, in that sense. And so you want to see an agency should always earn your business, and any agency that's trying to trap you into a 2-year, like punitive type contract, to me, that's not an agency that believes, trust me, I understand everything as an agency. There's a lot of upfront costs, and there's a lot of da 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 da. I understand all that because I employ people, and but at the same time, like, I need to be earning your business, and I should be communicating in a way that earns your trust every month. And you should have a clear understanding of the goals, and a clear understanding of what's required, and a clear understanding of the path to success. And in that regard, you're going to stay with me. You're going to stay with us. You're going to stay with me. You're going to love what you get. It might not be perfect, but you will understand that there is a path to success. And so when you look at contract terms, it should always be one in the fact where you guys can part as friends at any time, in a sense. Because again, I promise, you go to another agency, you're going to come running back. But you're going to come running back in a year after that year contract with that other business is finished. The amount of times I have, a good example of this is I did some CBD SEO, which is very hard because it's full of a lot of scammy stuff. And I was ranking a company for CBD terms very well, actually. And they were getting, I think it was over 1.5 million search impressions a month with a new domain, which is very impressive just for anyone out there. So anyways, so they met some other young, hip, cool SEO guy at a club in Miami, and decided that my SEO was not young, hip, and cool enough. And they said, okay, well, we're going to go with this strategy instead. I said, okay, I packaged everything up and was like, best of luck. And and they went with that person, and they lost all their rankings. They lost their website traffic went from over, I think it was over 100,000 people a month of organic search traffic to a little bit under 1,000 people a month. And they lost, I can't say how much in sales a month, but it was catastrophic to their business. And to where for them, they couldn't afford to come back to me, unfortunately. So, but it was a very real consequence of, but at the same time, I didn't, and they're welcome to come back when they can pay the price, but like they pay for the services. But the reality is that they did actual more damage because they ruined the organic strategy because they went with something that was sexier in a sense, but not right for their business.
Right. What are your thoughts there, Andrea?
Oh my God. So I love that. I love that story, by the way. But, in terms of they went with something hip and cool, and then it turns out to not be the right thing. But for me, what I like to hear is that whole ability to exit the contract, because from a CFO perspective, from a financial person perspective, when you look at that contract and you see that you have to stay, you have to commit for this entire year, it kind of makes it tugs at the business owner to commit,
100%.
right? And the thing about it is the breaking of the contract doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be that you're not performing. The business owner could simply be in a bind. Say, listen,
Yeah.
we're in a cash flow problem. Things are happening. I just can't make that. I just can't make that money to that SEO guy. Could we
Yeah.
hold for a bit until we recover? So it could be something legitimate. And the fact that you're able to say, you know what, here, make it easy for the person to exit, and at the right at a better time they could come back. That's a
Yeah.
good, that's a financial safety net for
Yeah.
a business owner that
Yeah.
kind of gives them a sense of, okay, I'm committing, but if anything happens,
Yes.
I could relieve myself of this financial cost and recuperate if anything. I think that part for me is what is as a financial person, that's what's important. That's what stuck out to me, and that was important.
Yeah. And again, I think that if you're properly communicating to the client, you're delivering what you've promised, you're reporting, you've set goals together, they understand the key performance indicators that will indicate success. You're not going to have issues, as an agency with people just willy-nilly canceling. Most businesses don't willy-nilly cancel.
Correct.
They cancel when they perceive a problem, they cancel when they don't see return on investment, and they cancel when they receive bad service most of the time, and a 12-month contract to me, or any sort of long-term contract, insulates the agency from those three things, and so that's my thing is I'm confident providing great service, so, and I think you'll love the service, and so that's one thing Tamara and I we've always been very committed to, in that sense.
100%.
So.
I love that. Just put it on the table, why don't you? Like, here's my SEO, it's bigger than yours.
I think it was a testament to what we said on Monday too. The whole club action, the loss of revenue. No, people, SEO is not supposed to be sexy. It is not supposed to be sexy.
It's supposed to drive you revenue.
Right. It's supposed to drive you revenue. And it is. And that is a real testament that good SEO is a need. It's not an option.
Yes.
And we say that often in this room. It is a need and not an option. It is not lagniappe. It is not something extra. It is a need and not an option. And it is a driver for your business and an investment. So it is well done. It serves you well. And when one big mistake like that, meeting somebody in the club should have been an indication first off, that club meeting, make sure you're outside in the brighter lights, but no.
I've met some of my favorite people in clubs.
Well,
right.
the
you're not making a snap decision in that club moment either, but.
The hilarious thing is that person also told me to put money into FTX.
Wow.
Not the best of choices, but
not the best of choices. Eric, thank you so much. This is our Go Beyond the Like segment. We really appreciate having you. This has been really, really awesome and so great for you to come in and give those secrets, right? These are, today what we talked about are some of the 7 secrets, right? 7 amazing questions that you should be asking to discover the truth about SEO success. This is Eric Davis. He is awesome. We love him. He is our SEO expert, and he gave us the business today. So any final words, Eric? Thank you again for waking up so early to join us.
No worries. My final words is know your goals. Everyone, know your goals, because from there, everything begins to make sense.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. This was great. Team, say goodbye to Eric. Go ahead. Everybody take a moment and tell him goodbye.
Michael, awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh my God. Bye.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, Eric. Thank you again. We will talk very soon. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, today was jam-packed, a lot of good information, a lot of great information. I think small businesses, we should definitely, this is an episode that you should share with every small business owner that has a website, that's thinking about an online presence. These are the things that you need to know in order to get your SEO done. And SEO doesn't need to be sexy. It just needs to drive you revenue, and it pays dividends all the way through. So definitely spend time focused on your SEO strategy. Talk to the right people. Reach out to us here at Monovan Digital. We can definitely connect you with Eric. He is an amazing guru. So we do have a few other items that we want to get to. We want to highlight really quickly before we wrap up the show. Guys, we want you to take our quiz. This is an opportunity here to scan the QR code, take the quiz, and assess the effectiveness of your online presence. With doing that, you get to understand, are you even optimized the right way for SEO? So this helps you just to gauge, where do you stand? Where are you currently with your online presence? And you can really start filling in the gaps. We can help you fill in those gaps to take things to the next level and really make sure that you're using your online presence effectively to grow your business and connect to the goals. So take the quiz. We can't wait for you to take the quiz. I just love this little QR code action so much. So guys, we've made it to the end of a show. Did you guys have fun today?
Oh, today was amazing.
It was great.
Yeah.
Like Andrea said, I was on both sides of the table, from what we do to advise people, but from my own business, remembering some things and recalibrating a bit in my brain. So it's always great to have Eric in the room with us.
It is always in the room with us, for sure. So guys, this is Your Business in Digital, right? This is the show where we connect sales, finance, and operations with marketing so that we can really build effective digital marketing strategies for your business. We want you to think about all these moving parts because it plays into your online strategies, about your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, and how do you get people to buy from you, buy your service, your product. How do you get them to do that in an effective way? The right target audience, all the right people coming to your site and your online presence. So super excited we got to do this with you today. We will be here next week. Next week we're talking content creation, because as we flow through this process, we started talking about websites, we talked about SEO, and now we'll talk about content creation, because that's important. And you shouldn't just be creating content to create content. It really needs to also serve the goal. So look forward to our conversation next week. Have an amazing. Oh, wait, we have some comments. Melissa is here and she's like, great discussion this morning. Want to make sure I get those comments in. Thanks for joining us, Melissa. Welcome back. We miss you. She's awesome. So have an amazing Wednesday. We will see you guys back here next Monday. Take care. Enjoy.